On February 27th, we recorded our conversation at the studio with the money coach Yulin Lee. But shortly after that, our lives changed dramatically. Our lives have been turned upside down, and in some respect came almost to a standstill because of a tiny virus with some alien name COVID-19 ravaging the planet. It feels that we are living in a script of some horror movie. Our experiences are surreal and may even change us. Many lives have been lost, and nothing will heal that wound. But also many families have been financially devastated, and we decided to meet with Yulin again in search for some expert advice. We consider it a postscriptum to our main show, which can be found on YouTube under the title Hello, I Need a Money Coach. And here is our short Zoom chat with Yulin Lee. Hello Yulin, do you have any advice for our viewers on how to manage this crisis, short and long term?
Well, number one, if you are a small business, then you should definitely make sure you are applying through the PPP program, all of the different types of stimulus package that's coming out, and make sure you take advantage of that if you qualify for those. So, that's number one. Become a good negotiator with whether it's your landlord, whether it's your credit card companies, whether any type of bill you have to pay to keep up with your monthly expenses or monthly living situation, pick up the phone and call. There are a lot of companies out there are willing to help, but they're not just going to come to you. So part of about learning to be money savvy and being more of like taking the ownership and becoming the master of your money is taking those proactive steps. So, I've been coaching my clients about calling your landlord, working out some kind of deferment payment program, talking to your credit card companies. A lot of companies are offering a 2-month defer payment.
Mm-hmm.
So, your utilities or whatever else you have to pay, call them and ask. It doesn't hurt. What we're experiencing is so unprecedented, and it really only underscore this one thing that I keep trying to instill in everyone's mind, and that is make sure that they have a solid financial foundation. And to start with that, it's, you've got to have at least 6 to 12 months of emergency fund that I know, during the good times, it may seem like a broken record when I say that, because everything, just life seems to be going on just fine, but those emergency funds are really meant for situations like these that we just don't foresee. And so, the first thing I said is, it just really underscored the importance of that. And so if you're someone who hasn't done that in the past, then absolutely this is like your number one top priority. And, for some people, financially, they may not be as impacted as others. Some people are still working from home, so financially, it's not that big of a impact, maybe more of an emotional impact. But for others, maybe their incomes have been cut back or lost completely. And, I can totally feel the pain for those people. And what I say is, whatever you can, even if it's just putting $5 away every month, however, whatever the situation is, the key is to set that habit, that process in place so that it can start building up. But I will say, though, I think it's important to recognize that there's an emergency need for some people, but I hope that people will take this opportunity to really kind of evaluate how they want to move forward for the long run, as opposed to do something as a short-term patch. If I know there's immediate needs for some people, but for most people, I would say, if you're a business owner, and we hear a lot of people talking about pivoting, right? We need to pivot how we run our business. That's very true for a lot of business owners. But I want to actually take one level up and say, what about our life? Take a look at our life. Do we need to pivot how we're living as an individual? Are we still aligned with our core values? And so, that really kind of, because what happens is it's so easy under the normal circumstances, whether we have a job or whether we have our own business, we get busy and we get into this wheel, right? This rat race wheel, because we're so busy, just get sucked in by these day-to-day things we have to do. And so sometimes, if it's been going on for a long time, we already lost sight of what our long-term goals are, what our long-term objectives are. And so this is actually the perfect time, because we're being forced to stop. It's a perfect time to do some reflection and say, I'm in this business, I'm making this amount of money. Is that still making me happy? Is that still helping me to get on my path to financial freedom? Maybe it is, great. But if it's not, maybe it's time to actually rethink. So instead of, if you're in a business that's not really putting you on your financial path, maybe it's a time to take a step back and reevaluate the whole thing, as opposed to see what kind of short-term patch I can put right now. That's another thing that I, really would like people to kind of take this opportunity to think about. And then lastly, the third thing is it's time to reevaluate your investment portfolio. Again, the entire market has shifted, and the future probably has shifted for every one of us in terms of how the society is going to look like, how we're going to live our life. Right. And I was just listening to a podcast earlier, because a lot of the retail business are really suffering right now. And, so in those sectors, obviously you're seeing the numbers dropping, their revenues are gone, and their ability to pay their rent is also being challenged. But on the brighter side, there's a report that's saying that in the last couple of months, the savings rates have gone up a lot, right? Mm-hmm. And so that's great, right? And so what if we actually not fall into trap of, as soon as things open up, I'm going to spend all that money that I saved up the last 2 months, right? And so again, that's part of what I mean by kind of pivoting how we live our life and our lifestyle, but then also thinking about looking at our investment portfolio and say, where are we investing? Right. Are we investing in the sectors that are growing or that will be growing in the next 5 to 10 years? Or are we in the sector that's maybe dying or really dramatically changing? So again, this is a really good time to reevaluate all of that. And I don't mean it to say that because the stock market has dropped that we all have to do panic selling and get out. That's not what I mean. But it's really more about looking at the entire portfolio to see, is my portfolio aligned where I think the market is going?
Yulin, thank you so much. It will be a great addition to our show. Stay safe.
Okay, you're welcome.
Spring is in full force. Nothing can stop it. So is the human spirit. We'll remember our losses forever, but we'll recover. Hopefully, our collective wisdom will prevail, and we'll learn and become stronger. Till next time, I am your host, Adi Hanukai. Please stay safe.